My dear brothers and sisters, let me speak to you from the heart. December arrives every year whether we are ready or not. The lights go up, the music gets louder, the pressure increases, and suddenly you feel like you are swimming against a current you did not choose. You walk into work, school, shops, social spaces, and everywhere you turn there is a celebration that is not yours. And quietly, without anyone saying it out loud, the question creeps into your heart: how do I stay firm without becoming bitter? And how do I stay kind without losing myself? This reminder is for you, not to attack anyone, not to argue beliefs, not to judge, but to help you stay grounded, calm, confident, and connected to Allah while the world around you moves in a different rhythm. 1. Your identity is a gift, not a burden. My dear brothers and sisters, being Muslim in December is not a punishment from Allah, and it is not a mistake in your destiny. It is a test of clarity. Allah chose you deliberately. He chose your heart, your time, your place, and your circumstances. If He wanted you hidden from challenge, He could have placed you elsewhere, but He did not. He placed you where your faith would be seen, felt, and refined. Many people silently struggle at this time of year because they think something is wrong with them for feeling different. They see decorations, gatherings, songs, and traditions that do not belong to them, and slowly Shaitan whispers that maybe blending in would be easier. Maybe being quieter about faith would reduce the discomfort. Maybe compromising a little would make life smoother. That whisper is not new, and it is not harmless. Allah never asked you to dissolve your identity to survive. He asked you to carry it with dignity. When you understand that your faith is a gift, everything changes. A gift is not something you hide in shame. A gift is not something you apologize for. A gift is something you protect, even when others around you do not understand its value. Guidance is rare, clarity is rare, knowing why you exist is rare. Most of the world is moving, celebrating, consuming, and distracting itself without ever asking the deeper questions. Allah answered those questions for you through Islam. You are not lost because you do not blend in. You are guided because you know who you are. There is a difference between loneliness and clarity. Loneliness feels heavy and empty. Clarity feels quiet but strong. In December, many Muslims confuse the two. They feel surrounded by things that do not represent them and assume they are lacking. In reality, they are simply standing still in a world that is rushing in a different direction. A tree does not feel insecure because it does not move like the wind. It is rooted, and because it is rooted, it survives every season. My dear brothers and sisters, insecurity often comes from needing approval. When your sense of worth comes from Allah, you stop chasing validation from people. You stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. You stop trying to prove that you belong. You already belong, not to a season, not to a culture, but to a purpose. This is why a Muslim who understands their identity does not need to shout, argue, or constantly defend themselves. Their calm confidence speaks for them. Their behavior is consistent. Their values are steady. They are not shaken by trends, pressure, or social moods. Islam does not teach us to be angry at difference, nor does it teach us to dissolve into it. It teaches us balance. You can walk through December with kindness without confusion. You can be present in society without being absorbed by it. You can respect others without borrowing an identity that was never yours. Many people think strength looks loud. In reality, strength often looks quiet. It looks like politely declining without guilt. It looks like holding your boundaries without explaining them every time. It looks like being comfortable with being different without feeling superior or inferior. Allah does not measure you by how well you fit in. He measures you by how well you stand firm. Remember this, my dear brothers and sisters. Your faith is not fragile. It does not need constant protection through fear. It needs understanding. When you understand why you believe what you believe, pressure loses its power over you. Confusion fades. Resentment disappears. What remains is peace. Peace does not come from matching the world. It comes from alignment with Allah. December will test many hearts, not because it is evil, but because it is loud. Loud seasons expose quiet weaknesses and quiet strengths. If you feel uncomfortable, do not panic. Sit with the feeling. Ask yourself what it is teaching you. Very often, it is reminding you that your identity is alive. And that is a blessing. Allah did not give you Islam to burden you. He gave it to anchor you. He gave it to give your life meaning beyond moments and seasons. When everything around you changes, trends, holidays, opinions, emotions, Islam remains steady. That steadiness is mercy. So walk through this month with your head held high and your heart humble. You do not need to announce who you are to everyone, but you should never forget it yourself. When you carry your faith with dignity, you become a source of quiet strength, not just for yourself, but for others who are searching and do not even know it yet. Your identity is not a burden you carry through December. It is the light that helps you walk through it without losing yourself. Due. Respect does not require imitation. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the greatest confusions Muslims face during December is the belief that respect means imitation. This confusion creates unnecessary pressure, guilt, and inner conflict. People begin to feel that if they do not participate, they are being rude, harsh, or closed-minded. That is not true, and Islam never taught us that. Respect in Islam is rooted in character, not copying. It is rooted in manners, honesty, and kindness, not in adopting practices that do not belong to us. Allah did not create us to be mirrors of one another. He created us to coexist with clarity. When you understand this, a great weight lifts from your heart. You realize that you do not need to prove your kindness by erasing your boundaries. You do not need to blur your beliefs to appear polite. You can be firm without being harsh and gentle without being confused. Many Muslims struggle in this season because they feel trapped between two extremes. On one side, they fear being seen as intolerant. On the other side, they fear displeasing Allah. This inner tug of war creates anxiety. But Islam does not place us in impossible positions. It gives us a middle path. You can greet people warmly, you can speak kindly, you can show appreciation, professionalism, and goodwill. You can smile, assist, and support others. None of this requires you to adopt religious practices or celebrations that conflict with your beliefs. Respect is about how you treat people, not about what rituals you perform. When you imitate in order to be accepted, something dangerous happens inside the heart. Slowly, identity begins to soften, boundaries begin to blur. What once felt clearly separate starts to feel negotiable. Shaitan does not push people off cliffs. He leads them down gentle slopes. Islam protects us from this by teaching us self-respect before social approval. My dear brothers and sisters, when you are secure in who you are, you do not feel the need to explain yourself every time. A calm refusal is enough. A polite decline is enough. You do not owe everyone a theological lecture, nor do you owe them participation. Your dignity lies in consistency, not in performance. Look at the example of the Prophet. He lived among people of different beliefs, customs, and traditions. He did not imitate them to gain acceptance, nor did he insult them to assert dominance. His clarity made his respect meaningful. People trusted him because he was honest about who he was. Today, many Muslims fear being misunderstood more than they fear losing themselves. That fear leads to silent compromises that slowly drain the heart. Understand this clearly. Anyone who only respects you when you imitate them does not truly respect you. Real respect allows difference to exist without pressure. This is especially important for Muslims living in the US, the UK, and other plural societies. You are not visitors. You are part of the society, and part of society means contribution, not disappearance. You bring values, ethics, and perspective. You are not required to dissolve into the crowd to belong. Belonging does not come from imitation. It comes from contribution with integrity. Some people worry that by not participating, they will seem cold or distant, but character always speaks louder than rituals. When people see honesty, reliability, kindness, and humility, they respect it even if they do not share it. Many will quietly admire the strength it takes to remain grounded, and those who mock or pressure you were never satisfied to begin with. My dear brothers and sisters, Islam never asked you to isolate yourself from society. It asked you to navigate it with awareness. There is a difference between presence and participation. You can be present in workplaces, schools, families, and communities without absorbing every practice around you. When your heart is clear, your actions become simple. You do not feel defensive. You do not feel superior. You do not feel ashamed. You simply live as a Muslim who knows where they stand. Remember this. Respect that costs you your identity is too expensive. Allah honored you with Islam so that you would stand upright, not bend until you break. When you respect others for who they are while remaining honest about who you are, you embody the balance Islam teaches. December will test this balance, but it will also strengthen it. Every time you choose clarity over confusion, you grow stronger. Every time you choose dignity over imitation, your faith deepens. Every time you choose kindness without compromise, you walk closer to the character Allah loves. So walk gently, my dear brothers and sisters, but walk firmly. Let your respect be sincere and your boundaries be clear. You do not need to borrow anyone else's celebration to prove your humanity. Your values already speak for you. 3. Pressure is not a sign of weak faith. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most damaging thoughts that enters the heart during this season is the idea that feeling uncomfortable means something is wrong with your iman. This is a misunderstanding that causes unnecessary guilt and self-judgment. Let me be very clear with you. Pressure is not proof of weak faith. In many cases, pressure is proof of awareness. A person who has no values feels no tension. A person who stands for nothing feels no resistance. But when you carry faith, principles and purpose, you will naturally feel pressure when the environment around you moves in a different direction. That pressure does not mean your faith is failing. It means your heart is alive. Even the strongest believers feel the weight of social expectations. You are human. You live in society. You interact with people daily. To pretend that none of this affects you would be unrealistic. Islam does not ask you to be emotionless. It asks you to be conscious. Shaitan uses this pressure cleverly. He whispers, if your faith was strong, this wouldn't bother you. That whisper is a lie. The discomfort you feel is not a weakness to be ashamed of. It is a signal that your heart is trying to protect something valuable. Think about it carefully. When does pressure actually feel strongest? It is strongest when you are trying to do the right thing quietly, when you are resisting without drama, when you are holding firm without announcing it. That is when the internal struggle becomes intense. And that struggle, my dear brothers and sisters, is part of faith. Islam never promised that holding on to guidance would always feel easy. In fact, Allah tells us that belief will be tested. Tests do not come to destroy you. They come to reveal what is inside you and to strengthen it. Many Muslims make the mistake of fighting pressure emotionally instead of understanding it spiritually. They become frustrated with themselves. They ask, why do I feel awkward? Why do I feel left out? Why does this affect me? These questions, when asked without wisdom, lead to self-criticism. But when asked honestly, they lead to growth. Pressure is a reminder that you are choosing consciously, not drifting. The world around you flows automatically. People celebrate because it is expected. They participate because it is normal. You, however, are choosing restraint. You are choosing awareness. Choice always comes with effort, and effort is not failure. My dear brothers and sisters, there is a difference between doubt and discomfort. Doubt questions belief. Discomfort tests patience. Feeling pressure does not mean you are doubting Islam. It means you are navigating reality with faith intact. Look at how pressure works in other areas of life. Muscles grow under resistance. Diamonds form under pressure. Without pressure, there is no strength. Without resistance, there is no development. Why would faith be any different? If you feel this season pushing against your heart, do not panic. Do not label yourself as weak. Pause and ask Allah for steadiness. Say, oh Allah, you see my situation. You know my environment. Keep my heart firm. That dua alone transforms pressure into connection. Another mistake people make is isolating themselves emotionally because they think struggling means they are alone. You are not alone. Many believers around the world feel exactly what you feel, even if no one speaks about it openly. Silence does not mean absence. It means quiet endurance. Islam honors that endurance. My dear brothers and sisters, pressure only becomes dangerous when it pushes you toward resentment or compromise. But when it pushes you toward reflection, prayer, and gratitude for guidance, it becomes a blessing in disguise. Do not let pressure harden your heart. Let it soften you toward Allah. Let it remind you that faith is not just something you say, it is something you live through moments like these. And remember this deeply, a faith that has never been tested is a faith that has never been trusted. Allah tests those He wants to elevate, not those He wants to abandon. If you are feeling the weight, it is because Allah sees potential in you to carry it. So be gentle with yourself. Do not measure your iman by how comfortable you feel in every situation. Measure it by how sincerely you turn back to Allah when things feel uncomfortable. This season will pass. The pressure will ease. What will remain is the strength you gained by not running from it. And that strength, my dear brothers and sisters, is a sign of living faith, not a weak one. And 4, your daily connection to Allah is your anchor. My dear brothers and sisters, when everything around you feels loud, fast, and overwhelming, the greatest mistake you can make is to try to fight the noise with more noise. Islam does not teach us to chase chaos. It teaches us to anchor ourselves, and that anchor is your daily connection with Allah. Many people think spiritual strength comes from big moments, powerful speeches, or emotional reminders. In reality, strength is built quietly, consistently, and privately. It is built in the moments no one sees. A heart that is connected to Allah daily does not collapse when the environment shifts. It adjusts, but it does not break. December exposes this reality very clearly. When routines are disrupted, schedules change, and social pressure increases, people suddenly realize how fragile their spiritual habits were. Salah becomes rushed. Dua becomes occasional. Remembrance becomes something postponed. Then, when the heart feels unsettled, people wonder why. Allah never disconnected from you. The connection weakened because it was not maintained. My dear brothers and sisters, prayer is not just an obligation you check off a list. It is a meeting with the one who controls everything that makes you anxious. When you stand before Allah regularly, you remind your heart who is in charge. You remind yourself that no season, no social expectation, and no external pressure has authority over your soul. A person who prays with presence walks differently into the world. Their reactions slow down, their emotions settle, their decisions are not driven by urgency or fear. Salah grounds you because it recenters your life around purpose instead of pressure. Dua works the same way. Dua is not a last resort when things fall apart. It is daily maintenance for the heart. When you speak to Allah consistently, even in simple words, you unload what the world keeps piling onto you. You do not carry it alone. You place it where it belongs. Some people say, I don't feel anything when I pray. That does not mean prayer is failing. It means the heart needs patience. Connection is not always emotional. Sometimes it is stabilizing. Sometimes it is protective. Sometimes it is quietly repairing damage you do not even realize has formed. Remembrance of Allah, even briefly, has power beyond what we imagine. A few moments of dhikr in the morning, a few moments before sleep, a quiet acknowledgement of Allah between tasks. These small acts build a barrier inside the heart. The noise reaches you, but it does not enter you. Without this connection, people start absorbing the environment without realizing it. They begin to feel drained, irritable, confused, and restless. They mistake the spiritual hunger for boredom or dissatisfaction. In reality, the heart is calling for nourishment. My dear brothers and sisters, anchoring yourself to Allah does not require isolation from society. It requires intention within society. You do not need to escape the world. You need to carry Allah into your day consciously. When you wake up with remembrance, the day does not own you. When you pause for prayer, the world slows down for you. When you end your day with gratitude, anxiety loses its grip. This is why people who protect their connection with Allah feel grounded even when life is unstable. They still experience stress, but it does not control them. They still feel pressure, but it does not define them. Their hearts know where home is. December will test your schedule. It will test your focus. It will test your patience. That is exactly why your connection with Allah must be intentional, not automatic. Do not wait to feel spiritual to pray. Pray to stay spiritual. If you neglect the anchor, the waves will move you wherever they want. But if you hold onto Allah daily, no season will pull you away from yourself. So my dear brothers and sisters, return to the basics. Protect your prayers. Speak to Allah often. Remember Him quietly. These are not small acts. They are lifelines. When your connection with Allah is strong, the world may be loud, but your heart will remain steady. And that steadiness is what allows you to walk through every season without losing your direction. 1.5. You represent Islam even when you are quiet. My dear brothers and sisters, many people think representation only happens when you speak, debate, or explain yourself. They believe that if they are not correcting others or making statements, they are somehow failing Islam. This misunderstanding creates pressure and exhaustion. Islam was never meant to turn you into a walking argument. Very often, the strongest representation of Islam happens when you say very little. You represent Islam in how you show up to work on time. You represent Islam in how you speak when you are frustrated. You represent Islam in how you treat people who disagree with you. You represent Islam when you hold your boundaries calmly, without sarcasm, without anger, and without superiority. Character speaks before words ever do. During December, Muslims often feel watched, even when they are not. This can make people either defensive or withdrawn. Both reactions come from the same place, fear of judgment. But when your intention is clear, fear loses its power. You are not living to impress people, you are living to please Allah. The Prophet did not convince people with constant explanations. He convinced them with trustworthiness, patience, and consistency. People observed him before they listened to him. They saw how he behaved under pressure, how he treated others, how he responded to discomfort. His silence often taught more than his speech. My dear brothers and sisters, silence does not mean weakness. Silence with integrity is strength. It takes far more control to remain composed than to react emotionally. When you decline something politely and move on without making a scene, you show confidence. When you maintain professionalism while others cross lines, you show discipline. When you remain kind without needing validation, you show depth. Many people are quietly watching how you carry yourself, especially when you are different. They may never say it out loud, but they notice that you are steady. They notice that you are respectful. They notice that you do not need to imitate others to feel included. This plants seeds that arguments never could. Islam does not need loud defenders with weak character. It needs grounded believers with strong character. Some Muslims feel pressure to overcompensate during this season. They laugh harder, participate more, and blur boundaries because they want to appear easygoing. Others become cold and distant, believing withdrawal protects faith. Both approaches miss the balance. Islam teaches presence without compromise. You do not need to perform your faith for anyone. You need to live it sincerely. When you act with honesty, patience, and humility, you become a reference point. People may not ask questions today, but tomorrow when they are searching, they remember who carried themselves with dignity. They remember who did not mock, did not judge, and did not compromise. My dear brothers and sisters, remember that Allah sees representation differently than people do. Allah looks at intention, Allah looks at consistency, Allah looks at restraint. A single moment of patience for His sake can outweigh 1,000 loud statements made for attention. Do not underestimate the power of quiet integrity. In a world that demands constant expression, restraint becomes remarkable. In a season that celebrates excess, moderation becomes noticeable. In environments that reward conformity, clarity becomes rare. This is why being a Muslim in December is not about proving anything. It is about embodying something. You carry values wherever you go, whether you speak or remain silent. You show people what it means to live with principles without hostility. And when you represent Islam in this way, you protect your heart from arrogance and resentment. You do not see yourself as above others, nor do you feel beneath them. You simply stand where Allah placed you, firm and calm. So my dear brothers and sisters, do not feel pressured to constantly explain or defend. Let your manners speak, let your patience speak, let your consistency speak. Islam does not need to be shouted to be seen. Sometimes it is felt most strongly in the quiet dignity of a believer who knows exactly who they are. 6. Gratitude protects the heart from envy. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the quiet dangers of this season is comparison. It creeps in silently. You see gatherings, celebrations, smiles, exchanges of gifts, and a sense of togetherness everywhere you look. If the heart is not guarded, it begins to whisper questions it was never meant to ask. Why does everyone else seem so joyful? Why does it feel like they have something I do not? Why does my path feel heavier? This is where gratitude becomes not just a virtue, but a shield. Envy does not always appear as hatred. Often it appears as sadness, restlessness, or the feeling that you are missing out on life. Shaitan is subtle. He does not always tell you to reject your faith. Sometimes he simply makes you feel dissatisfied with it, and dissatisfaction grows where gratitude is weak. My dear brothers and sisters, when Allah guided you to Islam, He gave you something far greater than a seasonal happiness. He gave you direction, He gave you meaning. He gave you a relationship with Him that does not depend on decorations, gatherings, or social approval. But if you do not actively thank Allah for this gift, the heart begins to overlook its value. Gratitude sharpens vision. It helps you see what truly matters. Many people smile loudly during this season, but their hearts are restless. Many people celebrate outwardly while carrying deep emptiness inside. You do not see their struggles, you only see the surface. Comparison is always unfair because it compares your inner reality to someone else's outward display. Allah protected you from measuring your worth through moments and moods. He gave you faith that anchors you beyond temporary joy. That alone is a blessing worth reflecting on. When you thank Allah sincerely, envy loses its grip. A grateful heart does not feel deprived because it knows it has been honored. Gratitude reminds you that guidance is not common, clarity is not guaranteed, purpose is not universal. Allah chose you for it. My dear brothers and sisters, gratitude is not just saying words. It is remembering where you would be without Allah. It is remembering how lost the world feels when there is no direction. It is recognizing that while others may celebrate loudly today, you carry a peace that does not expire when the season ends. This does not mean you look down on others. Islam never teaches arrogance. Gratitude humbles you. It makes you softer, not harsher. It makes you compassionate, not resentful. When you are grateful, you do not feel the need to compete, compare, or criticize. Instead of asking, why don't I have what they have? Gratitude teaches you to ask, what has Allah saved me from? And what has Allah honored me with? And the answer to that question is often more than we realize. December can make the heart restless if it is constantly consuming images, conversations, and expectations. Gratitude slows the heart down. It brings you back to reality. It reminds you that your worth is not measured by participation, popularity, or celebration. It is measured by your relationship with Allah. When you consciously thank Allah for guidance, even quietly, something changes inside you. The noise loses its appeal. The comparisons lose their power. The feeling of missing out fades, replaced by a sense of contentment. Contentment does not mean life is perfect. It means the heart is settled. My dear brothers and sisters, if you feel a hint of envy during this season, do not shame yourself. Acknowledge it, then counter it with gratitude. Turn to Allah and thank Him for faith, for clarity, for purpose, for restraint, for dignity. Thank Him for giving you something that cannot be wrapped, exchanged, or taken away. Because celebrations come and go, trends fade, seasons change, but guidance once planted in the heart grows stronger with gratitude. And a grateful heart walks through December not feeling deprived, but protected. 7. This season will pass. Your faith is what remains. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most powerful truths you can remind yourself of during December is that this season, no matter how intense it feels, is temporary. It arrives, it fills the environment with noise and movement, and then it quietly leaves. The decorations come down, the routines return, life moves on. What does not leave with the season is the state of your heart. This is why Islam teaches us to think beyond moments. It teaches us to look at the long journey, not just the current stretch of the road. When you understand that December is a passing phase, it loses the power to overwhelm you. You stop reacting emotionally to every trigger because you know it will not last. Many people allow temporary environments to shape permanent habits. That is dangerous. A few weeks of pressure should not undo years of faith. A short season should not redefine your identity. Allah did not build your iman on months and moods. He built it on truth. My dear brothers and sisters, every test asks a simple question. Who will you be when no one is watching? During loud seasons, it is easy to feel pulled in different directions. But it is in these moments that Allah is refining you, not exposing you. He is teaching you how to stand steady without needing applause or approval. When this season passes, you will look back and remember how you responded. Did it weaken you or strengthen you? Did it make you bitter or reflective? Did it push you away from Allah or closer to Him? These are the moments that quietly shape your inner strength. Islam does not ask you to run away from society. It asks you to move through it with awareness. When you remember that every season ends, you stop making desperate decisions. You stop reacting impulsively. You stop feeling like you must resolve everything right now. Patience grows naturally when you see the bigger picture. My dear brothers and sisters, faith is not proven when things are easy, it is revealed when things are uncomfortable. When your surroundings do not support your values, yet you remain respectful and firm, that is faith in action. When your heart feels pressured, yet you turn back to Allah instead of away from Him, that is faith maturing. There is also comfort in knowing that Allah sees your effort even when others do not. Many of your choices go unnoticed by people. Your quiet restraint, your internal struggle, your sincere dua. These moments may not be celebrated, but they are recorded. Allah never overlooks sincerity. This season also teaches you something important about the world. It reminds you that happiness based on events is fragile. Once the event ends, people search for the next distraction. Faith, however, does not depend on events. It carries you through them. When December fades, the world moves on, but you move forward with more clarity, more resilience, and more confidence in who you are. Each time you pass through this season without losing yourself, you strengthen your ability to navigate life as a whole. My dear brothers and sisters, do not underestimate the value of simply remaining steady. Not every test requires a dramatic response. Sometimes the greatest success is quiet consistency. You wake up, you pray, you act with integrity, and you trust Allah. That is victory. Remember that Allah did not promise a life free from discomfort. He promised guidance through it. When you hold on to that guidance, seasons lose their power over you. They become experiences, not definitions. So walk through December with patience. Let it come and go. Let it teach you without changing you. And when it passes, may you find that your faith did not just survive the season, but grew stronger because of it. Because seasons fade, faith remains. My dear brothers and sisters, as you walk through this season, remember that you are not required to fight the world in order to stay faithful. You are only required to stay connected to Allah. When your heart is anchored, the noise loses its power, the pressure becomes manageable, and the confusion fades. Do not measure your faith by how comfortable you feel in every environment. Measure it by how sincerely you return to Allah when things feel uncomfortable. That return again and again is what keeps you grounded. Be kind without compromise. Be present without losing your purpose. Be confident without arrogance. You do not need to explain your identity to everyone, but you must protect it within yourself. Ask Allah to keep your heart steady, your intentions pure, and your path clear. Ask Him to grant you strength in moments of pressure and humility in moments of ease. And trust that every effort you make for His sake, even the quiet ones, is seen and valued. This season will pass, as all seasons do. What will remain is the state of your heart and the closeness you built with Allah during it. Hold on to that and you will never be lost, no matter what the world around you is celebrating. May Allah keep us grounded, guide us with clarity, and grant us peace in every season of life.